Alright, so I have been traveling for business recently, so I have not got a lot of work done on the engine for the 1931 Deluxe Roadster. I've got it back from the machine shop, and I've got all the parts, and I need to start assembly. But one of the other projects I want to get completed during this process, in addition to refreshing the engine, installing the new synchro transmission, is to rebuild the steering and front end. The steering has a ton of play in it, and the balls on the steering arms, I suspect, are pretty roached. So I've got rebuilt parts ready to install for almost everything. And today I'm going to start taking apart the front end, and I'll take you along for the ride. Alright, we've got it up on jack stands by the frame. Hopefully you can see that there. That will allow the suspension to droop, which will allow me to start taking off things like the shocks that will be replaced, the steering arms, the front spring, the tie rod drag link, and potentially also the steering box steering column. Let's get to work. To make it easier to take off the front spring, we're going to go ahead and remove the front splash shield. We've got one screw here that I believe has a 7/16 or 1/2 inch nut underneath it. These two screws go straight into the bumper mount. And so there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. See you when I'm done. Okay, that came off pretty easy. You can see right here, those are the bumper bolts, the bumper bracket bolts that the splash shield bolts into, and that's where that one screw with the nut goes on. So far so good. I don't see any cracks in the cross member, which makes me happy. The next step is to remove a bunch of cotter keys. So we've got 4 on the U-bolts. We're going to have 4 for both sides of the spring shackles. We've got the shock arms to take off. We've got the steering arms to take off. So I'm going to go ahead and not bore you with me fighting with these old rusty cotters, and I'll be back as soon as I'm done.
3 hours later.
Okay, we've got the cotters finally out. Some of the toughest ones I've had to remove for a while. I already started taking the caps off of the drag link and tie rods, and next steps are to pop all those off and then remove the spring and the shocks, and we'll be good to go. I'll be right back. The shock links are frozen, and I'm not able to remove the caps on the top, so I'm going to go ahead and use some heat on it. See how we do. Alright, we've got an update here. I've got the spring shackle nuts backed all the way off. I've got the spring spreader stretching the spring out. I'm going to go ahead and pop the shackles out, and then I'll take the 4 bolts off of the 4 nuts off of the U-bolts there. Interesting thing here, this shock on the driver's side, mostly frozen. It's like 99% frozen. Shock on this side, blown out. So we're going to replace those. Should have a much better ride when we're done. Okay, we've got the shackles removed. The spring has been removed. Looks like I used half the tools in the toolbox, but I really didn't. Cross member looks very nice. A little bit of surface rust underneath, but all in all, we are good. And I only dropped the spring on my safety crock there. No injuries, no damage. We're all good. Alright guys, we got everything removed. We've got the tie rod, drag link, steering arms, pitman arms, shocks, and spring removed. I do have the drums to swap out. These are original steel drums with reinforcing bands, and I'll be swapping out to a good set of cast iron that I pull off of the Vicky when I did the hydraulic conversion. A lot of cleanup to do, both tools and detail work on the frame and undercarriage, but pretty good for a day's work. Next video, I'll show you a comparison between the old parts and the new parts, and we'll get started on reassembly. Let me know if you guys have any questions. Let me know if there's anything you'd like to see. And until next time, please remember to like and subscribe. It helps me get the word out and share these videos a little bit more. Thanks, guys.